Pure Love and Harmony.
With Sasha and Shannon.
We are back.
Okay. Very interesting topic tonight, right?
Yes,
What
I
do you
think so.
Are the animals, especially are the dogs, conscious?
Yeah, this is I think this is going to be an interesting thing to unpack because we've been talking about a lot of things with emotions and how they feel and how we feel and how we try to communicate with dogs. So this is interesting. I'm excited to see what you have to say on this thought of, well, let's just say, like, first off, emotions. Well, so we're going to talk about consciousness, but like, so how do dogs feel or interpret their world and feelings?
That's a crucial question to answer if you really want to dive into a canine communication. If we want to really communicate with our dogs, we need to understand, or actually we need to answer that for ourselves. First, are the dogs conscious? Do the dog has this self-awareness and awareness of the world around themselves? Or they act just instinctively, pure animals, they are acting and reacting on their surrounding, trying to find their place in the space that surrounds them. But then immediately after that, then you are immediately getting the outcome. Why is that very important question to answer? Is because the outcome of that question becomes, do I want to train my dog? Or I want to learn a language of my dog.
Yeah, that's what I was exactly thinking, because, you know, after we've had some of these conversations the last few weeks, and people will talk to me about their issues with their dog. I mean, something comes up in me because a lot of people are approaching it the latter, what you said, obedience training. And so if dogs, in fact, don't operate that way, then it's so misinformed in terms of how we are communicating with them or getting an outcome with them. So this is a good conversation to get into, to know and understand the communication better.
Yeah, of course, but you know, it's a pretty much a question that mainstream or the high-end science, I guess, know the answer on that, but opening the really answering it purely might raise up a lot of moral debate, a lot of political debate, a lot of economical debate, because the moment you start talking about animal consciousness and animal possibility to become aware of the world around them and being aware as an individually part of that world, brings meat eating, slaughterhouses, animal experimenting, and human-animal interaction to a completely dead end. And if we're going to shift our paradigm on answering the question about animal consciousness and animal emotional life, we need to give up the world we know.
Yeah.
So that's why I think oftentimes answer, are animal conscious and are animal emotional, remain unanswered, because the outcome of correctly answering that question will turn the world around. And that's where we can separate the dogs and look at them as any other non-human animal and have them just because of their ability to blend into the human environment, like some creatures that are more
domesticated. Like, that's what I was going to say. Like, we treat dogs like they're a different category
of the animal,
because we've domesticated them and they have learned to be with us.
Yeah, but so we domesticate from that angle. We domesticated cats too, but we domesticated cows and chickens and pigs as well. So
just they're not in our homes and traveling with us and as much. But some people are, because pigs have become pets and chickens have become pets. So it's happening.
So there is a kind of very interesting thing, and we so now from my perspective, and bringing your Pure Love and Harmony concept and the protocols in place, require answer yes. Animals, dogs, especially dogs, are conscious being. they have a level of awareness of the world around them, and they can find themselves become aware and experience the world around them from within. And that is exactly, that's a fundamental beginning of the communication channels used in between humans and dogs when we approach them by talking, humans learning canine language. That's putting yourself on the level of the consciousness of the dog. You put yourself in the shoes of the dog, you understand the world in which dog lives, and you try to give to the dog's possibility to respond with a positive or acceptable behavior. That's not aggressive, that's not leash pulling, that's actually perfectly behaved dog out from using their own consciousness level, their own world awareness of the world that we align in, learning canine language, and start to communicate that language as a non-verbal language. Now, it's not English, it's not Serbian, it's not English, it's not German. It's non-verbal language.
Right.
It's not don't do that, do this, stop, come, go, sit, lay, turn. It's not that. It's pure love and respect. And the outcome, what we get from the dog is a respect. And when the dog, because the dog that respects the leader, the parents, the dog parents, they're going to do everything for them. Out from not disrespect, but out from taking the burden of the leadership, the dog needs to act according to only tools that they have in order to protect their humans. And that might end up leash pulling, aggressivity, phobias of all kinds, because again, that's exactly how did the dog act out from fear.
And that's them though trying to protect, because it's filling the gap of the lack of leadership from the human, from the
and that's again putting them in a perception of being aware of leadership that's missing.
Right.
So the soon the dog become aware that leadership is missing, their willing choice to protect the family or to protect the group is to step into the role of the leader, no matter how frightening that will be for them. And that's where exactly why we can't teach dogs to obey, because on some levels of the laws of nature, the dogs are much more natural than the humans are. If that makes sense, right?
Well, and I still feel like though there's this gap, and I know this is part of what you teach in the rituals, and I'm like so anxious for everybody to get to know this better, because you can see people with their dogs in the leash pulling and the acting out and that kind of thing, and they think they're being good leaders because they're doing the obedience type training. So there's still that missing, like, even with your best attempt to be a leader and it's not happening, as like, how do you become the leader they need to feel protected, provided for, and whatnot? And that goes back to the 4 rituals, right?
Yeah, that goes back to the, putting for example, the most important thing is that the people think, okay, let's I can't stress enough to my students and also to the clients that, or the doggy parents, or that the dogs are pack and group animal, right? Every group has its structure, and that's very important. Soon you have 2 people in doing some job. If they overlap each other, there is no structure, there is frustration, and usually the group disappears. So even if you have human to human, right? When you have anything that involves the most common mistake that people do is to, kind of tell, oh, I didn't take my dog to the walk, right? And all the people feel guilty of not taking their dogs to the walk because the dog needs to exercise and dog need to walk along walks and things like that. What we are doing with taking the dogs out from the walk is our perception of taking a leisure time with our dog. Where actually by taking dogs to a walk, no matter how long the walk is, it's a work for dog. It's not a leisure time. The only leisure time for dog is a play. when I play with my dog. I play with my dog when I play with my dog, and every single time you have that interaction with the dog that dog cherishes the most is when strengthen the group bond through the play.
But they think, a lot of people think you need to have your dog like have movement or exercise, like if they've been home all day, so you need to take them for a walk.
That's kind of like that's again, you're not taking them to a walk. There is no such a construct as a walk into a dog world, into a pack world, into wolf world. You don't go to walk, because that the number one rule of the nature is you need to provide a maximum result for less energy use. So there is no such kind of I'm taking a dog and then the dogs are going to work. If you are taking them to walk, they are working. And then obviously you're going to see the people, I love to take my dog in a park and he loves to play there with the friends, and then they chases each other. And then oftentimes you're going to see that the dogs are playing in the park, but they are playing only until the new group didn't make a hierarchy. The moment the hierarchy through the play is established, the dogs stop playing. They're just laying around in the park. And you can see that when you go to the park, you have these dogs that are chasing each other and playing and, kind of like growling on each other, things like that. But it's not a play, because the dog don't play with the other members of the other pack. Because who is the pack of the dog? Me and my dog, my husband, my children, whoever lives in the home. Mm-hmm. Every single time when the stranger comes inside, for example, we got guests, okay?
Yeah.
The pack, because the dogs don't have a construct that someone came in to visit. In their little mind, they don't know that the guest is gonna go in 1 hour. They think that pack expanded.
Right.
And now we have another member of the pack that might stay here forever.
Right.
So, and then they immediately start to seeing who is the leader, is something changing now, and things like the same thing happen when we go to the park. We take the dog to the park, and what happens there? We blend with the other packs. We extend the group.
Okay.
But the dogs are.
That's interesting, though. I mean, I get that. That's interesting. I mean, because that makes sense. Then you're reestablishing the leadership.
Every single time
time. And even on a visitor, because I think, like, I was going to ask you this, Sasha, because this is something that happens to a lot of people. They don't want their dog to bark inside. Mm-hmm. But you said something about your dog the other day, like, said something and then he barked again, and then you got up and you went to see, because that's your responsibility, because he's trying to tell you something. Mm-hmm. And then I think he said something about getting in front of him in the door or something like that. And then he stopped. Mm-hmm. Right. So like they can bark because there's a purpose for them barking. And then our responsibility is to acknowledge it, not to just say, stop barking.
Yeah. Because the barking is not a way the dogs communicate in between each other. The barking is dog communicating to their humans. Mm. Because the dogs don't bark when they see each other and they bark to each other, right? Why they are barking to each other? They are actually telling to the owners about the potential dangers. Yeah. Because when you see the dogs, when they come together, the dogs usually, the group of the dog, how do they communicate in between themselves? With the body language, pulling the muzzles around, barking, growling, all kind of,
showing their teeth.
What? Yeah,
showing their teeth.
Putting up the coat on the chest and on the shoulder, next to a tail, putting the tail high or low or down, laying down in submissive position, things like that. So dogs among themselves communicate in the way of body language and all kind of this silent way of communication, right?
Yeah, but for us, they know where they need to bark to let us know something.
And that was shown by experiment Dr. Belyaev about the silver fox experiment, and he was like he was doing some experiment. The Russian farmers of the farmers were asking him like, can you make some foxes that are not so aggressive? So what he started to do is he started just the test. He had like approached the cage with the fox, and then if fox attacked, he would exclude them from the breeding program. And the ones that were tamed, he would just put them together. So in a couple of generations, he already got the completely tame foxes. That occasionally, when he started to breed them, occasionally they started to bark like a dogs. Foxes started to bark. And they said like a barking from that perspective, the barking was actually established as a way of dogs communicating with the humans. So every time dog barking on other dog is
they're trying to tell you something.
It's a warning to the humans that the potential danger is on its way.
Right.
Every single time when the dog barks, you need to tell him thank you. You need to step in a leadership position and exclude dog from doing the task for you. And then if dog doesn't stop, then give him time and space to think. That is why we are never taking overreactive dogs to walk.
Is that when then you would like put him in like a room by himself or something for a minute so he's like away from what he was thinking was threatening and he has time to think about that?
For example, when I was doing that here, it was like he barked. Someone was going in front of the corridor, so he barked. Then I said thank you. He barked again. Then now I need to do a motion. Now it's not enough for me to watch the movie, and now I stop barking. Oh fuck it! They're gonna try. No, now you need to
do
stand
something.
Up. Yeah. Now you need to action. Your baby is doing the job. Now you need to do your job as a leader. Move in front of you, and so whatever the dog is barking, is it a window or it's a door, whatever? You step in between a dog and wherever the dog barks. Look at whatever the dog is looking at and say,
"Thank you."
It's okay.
It's okay. Okay.
It's okay. The moment you say it's okay, the dog doesn't have nothing to do. If keep doing it, then you take a dog with no words and exclude them to a place where they need to think. Okay. And that's where you actually get the chance to interact with the dogs very fast and very easy in a way that you give a chance dog to realize what he did in order to be excluded from the pack.
It's like giving a kid a timeout.
That's exactly the timeout. So you give them a chance to think and to relax while thinking. So it's immediately answer to, are the dogs conscious? Of course they are conscious.
Yeah.
Level of their awareness. Sorry?
No, I was going to say, because like also you can see when a dog is sad or depressed or, like you see their moods change.
Oftentimes we just need to pretend, we need to stop assigning to the dogs human emotions, especially the secondary emotions. The primary are okay, to feel sadness, to feel sorrow, to feel sadness is the most.
Yeah, because you notice like if someone dies in the family or somebody's sick, like they are so attuned, it seems, to what's happening.
So the just to come to a little conclusion of this, what I was saying here. For the dog that's so social and group animal, interaction with the group members is crucial. And the group member for the dog are not the other dogs in a park. It's a family. It's me and my dog. And the only one thing you should be feeling guilty a day if you like an owner didn't play with your dog. And where is the best place for you to play? In a home, in the yard, in the garden, because in the home environment, within the cave, you don't need to go 3 miles away and then to play somewhere. Now you can say, but I have a kita and I live in an apartment. I can understand that, but that's again like a big, not a big commitment, but it's a kind of like a sacrifice for both the humans and the dogs. You don't choose to live with a kita in the little apartment because that's again will bring on you a lot of burden, and the dog. By thinking the dog needs an exercise.
Right.
The dog in a nature wouldn't, be exercising if you follow the right diet, if you follow the right amount of the food, and if
Right.
you have a right interaction with your animal. Exercise is not important. You would also see shepherds that are operating in the field. When they are not working, when they are not in the field, they would sleep entire day long. You go
Right.
to I was blessed in Serbia to observe the stray dogs because there are a lot in Serbia.
Yeah.
And when you go to observe the stray dogs, you don't see them walking around. They are around one building, around one block.
Hmm.
They go, and what you see them doing entire day is sleeping.
Yeah, you're right. I think about that in India. I spent 5 weeks in India, and you're right. That's
Every
what the
dog is
dogs,
sleeping.
yeah.
And the people would feel guilty. And by feeling guilty why you didn't take your dog for 2 mile walk, it's not a problem for you to take a dog to 2 mile walk, but just to understand that when you take your dog to a walk, you are taking dog to work, and nothing wrong with that. But don't
Hmm.
feel guilty if you didn't do that. But
Right.
feel guilty if you didn't find 5 or 10 minutes a day to play with your dog.
Yeah. That is just so huge. Again, I just feel like there's just, miseducation about how we take care of our dogs. And this is kind of exciting to unlearn some of this because it feels actually like a more natural relationship with
Yeah,
our dog.
the people would go to a parks, you go like 10 miles or you'll drive to a dog park, you would go there, and then your dog gonna, ride, have fun there, like
Yeah.
fun. She
Yeah.
would chase the dogs and things like that. And
Yeah.
every single time when the new dog come, a group expand. And
Yeah.
every single time when a new dog come, the game need to start all over
Yeah.
because the dogs
Izzy
don't. Sorry.
Izzy hated the dog park. So I
Of
ended
course,
up
the dogs
not
usually
taking.
hate dog park
Yeah,
because
so I could tell, and I stopped taking her. I was like, again, they tell us that's good because it's socializing the dogs and yada yada. But I would go and I could just tell like she hated it. And so I was like, well, I guess my dog doesn't like the park. But then I always felt like especially like being a busy like career woman, I'm like worried about her being home too long. And then I would play with her. I feel like I needed to play with her and walk. It's kind of nice to let people know the most important thing is to play.
yeah, the most important thing is to play, and that's the most important thing that the people want to delegate to
Yeah,
the other dogs in the park. But
right.
nothing wrong with having a wrong perception. But you need to ask yourself, how can I improve a lifestyle of my dog? Because I tell that everyone, because the dogs are very emotional to us, and we are emotional to dogs, and that's emotional entanglement. Nothing wrong in that. But if I claim that I love my dog so much, I need to do what's best for dog.
No, that's why I think it's so good to have
And
this
this is
new information. It's not to make anybody feel bad, including myself. It's just like
yes.
so nice to learn because it actually frees you up because a lot of this doesn't feel natural. Like the obedience training feels like it's shutting your dog down. It doesn't feel like it's communicating with your dog. Like everything we're talking about here feels like it's a much more attuned, natural,
Yeah,
like you said, harmony. Like
yeah,
it's a
it is
pure love and
harmony, the
harmony.
nature.
And it's like, but like it's like we need permission because we've been told all these other things.
The dog would be returned to a shelters because the people don't have time to walk them.
Yeah.
And it's not about the walk. It's not about the walk because a walk is not a leisure time for the dog.
So it's
You
about the
can take
attention. It's about the attention and the connection and the playtime with them.
playtime is the only one. The playtime is the only thing the dog needs from you, and they need that from you.
Yeah.
They don't need that from anyone else, and they're the most happy if you are doing that at home. If you have a little apartment, take him in a yard, claim some space that's your and your dog place, and have no one there. The dogs doesn't need these parties and this excitement of galas and red carpet. That's completely out of their role and out of
Yeah.
on the contrary, is making them much more depressed, much more anxious, and they're
Anxious.
making them much more. When you take a dog, nothing worse than you take your dog to a daycare, or leave the dog someone into some uncertain group member. Right? We don't know which dogs are in the daycare. You're delegating something that's your responsibility to someone else that no one can do, neither the dogs expect from the people to do it as the owners or the readers would. So if you need to work shifts of 8 hours, it's nothing wrong in that. Your dog, you can establish the routine that your dog going to become completely aware, because the dogs are conscious on the level of their awareness. The level of awareness grows as they learn about the routine of the environment they live. So if you establish a routine of 8-hour working, and then when you come home, you have some time for your family, or you some time for yourself. And out of all of that time for yourself and for your family, you choose 10, 15, 20, half an hour real interaction with your dog. I don't know what can play hide and seek, play that push them and they'll come back and play, take the ball and give the ball and do this and do that and engage the family in the play. That would be the most mental stimulating and developing that inner awareness of the dog, that he's important, an integral part of the group, that separates for 8 hours, reunite every 8 hours, and in between they're going to do nothing rather than sleep.
Yeah, well, I think the thing comes in though, like when people travel or they have to like work, like I had to travel for work. It's ideal for them to stay in the home, but if they can't, is it just then finding a regular routine for them? If it's not you, then it's trying to be consistent with who takes care of them if you have to be gone.
The best way would be to have a home sitting person. That would be the best, so they don't go away from their cave, right? And then that's the most how can I say, the most and living mate and living care animals or whatever. That should be a future of the pet space and pet care business. And the people should rely on the people that they trust, because if you don't trust person to let them in your house, to sleep in your house, you shouldn't trust the person taking care of your dog.
Yeah.
So that's so important to have consciousness and awareness about that. And you don't need a person to take your dog in a walk. Don't feel guilty.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think this is going to really liberate a lot of pet owners, like pet parents, because we've, again, it's new information, it's a new understanding. And with that, and we're learning better how to take care of our dogs. That's a big burden off the dog and off of us.
And you would always have this contrary to this, because I know every single time I come up with this publicly and live, they said, no, but they are bred to do that. And generation, they're like working animals and they're doing this and they're yes, but you can, if you project that, you just need environmental, how can I say that? Environmental.
An environment for that dog. Like if you have a husky.
For example, if you have a husky and you never put him to sled, he wouldn't develop that skill. He wouldn't develop that part of his genetic potential.
Would he still need to go run and work and get that energy out?
No, he don't need to.
Okay.
You can, but he don't need to.
Yeah, I think that's a misconception too, because
that would be kind of like, oh, we have you have, for example, parents that are opera singers, and then you have their child.
That makes sense.
Not an opera singer.
Yeah.
Or you have all the genetic predisposition to do it perfectly if you start doing it.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
If you never develop those skills, if you never open that potential, that potential should just not be exposed or expressed. Oh my God.
So this is a good segue, because this is Happy.
Hi, Happy.
And Happy is going to be part of our guest next week.
Oh.
His doggy mom, Alex, wanted to work on some things that she is not understanding with like his behavior. And so we've invited her to come next week with Happy, because Happy was rescued from Mexico. from the
Oh,
streets of Mexico.
there you
Yeah.
go. So
And
now that's wonderful. Also, if you have a stray dogs and you put them in a home, that would be the same thing if you expect from that dog to run away every single time just because he bred to be stray dog.
right,
It's not working like that. So the
right,
huskies and Dobermans and all of this world of the dogs that we use for century to perform something that they are not doing anymore.
right.
And
That's
now they're
right.
not doing.
That's.
And
I mean, again, this is really, I think, going to free up a lot of misunderstanding for people and how they approach both the kind of dog they choose and then how they need to arrange to be able to care for them.
yeah, because we will talk about that next time, about all of that anxiety that
Yeah.
oftentimes is characterized as a happy dog. It's
Yeah.
far away from the happy dog. If that's a very interesting way to put it. You come home and then, or you point the lead to your dog and then your dog start screaming and barking and waving the tails and things like that. That's ridiculous. If you would have a person behave like that, you will call an ambulance. You would have a cat or a horse compared to,
So that's not them excited to see you. It's
that's anxiety for the health of their leader. Or if you go out, if you go out and the dogs start immediately, getting anxious, what they are doing is they are raising the levels of adrenaline so they can perform because they are going out to work. They're not going out to have fun.
to play.
They're not going out to have fun. So what you need to do before you take your dog out, you need to make them not react. So when we can talk about that, but first thing we need to understand, we need to raise our consciousness by raising awareness about learning the language of the canines.
Right.
Why do you think that, he loves me like that, right? Oh, he loves me. He every single time when I come home, he's the first one to greet me. And then you have this, for example, if your mom would do that to you every single time when you come home, oh my God, mom, can you just stop? Stop doing that. You are embarrassing me. Are you crazy? You should stop doing that. You are always, or you have a child that's every single, can you imagine? Can you just,
oh my gosh.
can you just give that behavior a human face?
Right.
And then see how you would react if someone would behave that. It's not a normal behavior. It's a reaction. And then if you understand the context in which reaction happens, then you would really know how to balance with that. What you need to do before you go out, be sure that your dog is not reactive. So don't take reactive dogs to work in long walks because you are setting them for the failure. They're going to pull on a leash. They're going to bark on every single dog that passes by. They might become aggressive towards people. You never know.
So you calm them down. So like if you come home, you let them be calm before you
first
go
practice
to walk.
the rituals. One of the rituals is reuniting and departing rituals. They need to be performed perfectly, but also the loose leash walking or the dogs walking peacefully next to us, is practiced at home with no leash. Right? You need to understand. You need to develop the positive behavior of the dog
at home. Yeah.
At home.
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about the ritual of reuniting and leaving. So maybe, I don't know if we want to do that with Alex when she's here.
Maybe we can do that next time. We can ask her how she's doing, and then we can explain her why she's getting that, if she's doing it right perfectly. But I barely saw any human doing the right departure.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so because, I mean, again, that's what we're told. Like when the dog comes home, it's like, oh, they're excited to see us.
And you don't have there nothing unusual and unnormal that doesn't repeat itself in the pack reuniting. When the pack reunites, what happens is the usually the ones that are home are the lower rank of the pack of the members, like a puppies or the babysitters or the omega wolves and things like that. So what they are doing actually is they are greeting the leaders that came home, but most importantly, they want to jump to their lips and mouth, so they can lick the mouth to provoke the vomiting. So the mother and the wolf will vomit, and that's what the puppies would eat, because that's Huh?
I just ooh, but good.
Yeah,
That's what they're
because the
supposed to
puppy,
do.
the
Yeah.
wolf goes like miles and miles away to hunt. So the
Ah,
mom wouldn't bring home like a piece of the deer for the kids,
yeah,
right? Because
right.
that's life threatening. She doesn't carry nothing in her mouth. Maybe if something is very close or the puppies are around, she would move something like a couple of yards or something like that, but not miles. So what actually happens is that the mom or the dad or older pack members would eat there,
Huh.
digest it while they are coming home, and then
Yeah.
by licking their mouth, they're gonna provoke the vomiting, and then they're gonna vomit the food for the puppies.
So you're bringing that up though, because we're talking about the reuniting.
Right.
So if we're replicating the reuniting of the pack when we come home, it wouldn't be like everybody goes bonkers.
They usually go, but that's why they are doing.
But
They are
they
doing
greet
that.
them, but it's a calm coming together.
What we actually do is we come home and we just keep doing our things without greeting the dogs on any level. So that would be the
Really?
right way to come home. And that's oftentimes it will be like very, how can I say, it would be very
That would be counterintuitive.
cruel,
Yeah, it would
right?
feel counterintuitive, like you're ignoring them.
But it's kind of ignoring them, but that's what exactly the mother and the father would do if they are not bringing home food. If
Hmm.
they don't need to vomit, they would exactly do that. They would just go away, move the puppies aside, just walk past them, go there, and then the puppies would play, peace down, and they would start again playing. So what we need to do here is kind of just, the right way to reunite would be that you come home, you don't give any attention to your dog while he's screaming, jumping, and things like that, because you just need to understand your mom maybe tried to do the same. And you told her, don't do this, mom. And now you are coming back to a dog center and no one loved me like my dog does. Your mom loved you too. You just didn't let her come close to you as you
Because
give
you
to your
felt
dog,
smothered. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
what we are doing here is you carry on whatever you do. And you see, as much as you establish this ritual would be that, for example, the dog would need like first 15 minutes, 20 minutes, they would just always be around you, jumping, doing this, trying to grab your attention. And then occasionally they're just gonna lay down. And what you wanna have is that, probably you hear easy doing that too. And I hear Henny as well, and a lot of dogs. And when I work like one-on-one and getting to homes of the people, what you wanna hear is usually the dog laying on a side and then, you heard that sometime from me?
Mm-hmm.
That's the moment when they are completely relaxed. And then you give them a chance, like 5 minutes at least, to enjoy that peacefulness.
I see.
Everything before that was a chaos and drama. They interacted with us, they try best, they do this, they try to see, are we hurt, do we need some help, do we need this, do we need that. We just carried with our stuff. Once they see that everything is under control, that you have everything under control, they're gonna first sit down, they're gonna look around, maybe be quiet for a couple of minutes, and then don't let them fool you, because they may just sit a little bit, look at what you are doing, and then try again. You ignore all of that and you wait for this sign. The dog lays down, usually on the side, and you wait for that. And then
Okay.
let them have that peace for themselves. And then call them. And oftentimes the people
You
will
give
come and
them
say,
like you said, like give them like 15 minutes then once they calm down.
yeah, but after after that one,
Exhale. Yeah.
give them as
Okay.
much as time you want. But that's actually the time when they're completely relaxed. And
Yeah.
oftentimes in around the people, they don't get the chance to be relaxed. So there
Yeah.
where you can practice that actually under the leadership, when the leader is around, it's actually the best time for you to be relaxed, right? For the dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can, oftentimes the people would come and say, oh my God, you want me to behave like like a robot to my dog, and you want to no, you want to
But I
communicate
get
with your
it.
dog
I
consciously.
well, it's what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, I get it because you've said it enough now that it makes sense. Like you are establishing you're fine. the house is fine, the dog is fine, so you don't pay attention to chaotic behavior. So you're setting the tone that everything's fine. Then they get a chance to relax. You let them stay relaxed because now they know, like, hey, everything's fine. So it's established that you're in control and you're the leader. And so they're truly relaxed. So there's no burden on the dog. And then when you choose to engage, it's like an intentional calling them.
Yes.
And that again is you being the leader and saying, now we're going to engage. And they get to follow and they get to play. And again, it's being taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's beautiful. That's really
right.
that's really pretty though. Like it's a nice arc. If you look at all of it, it doesn't feel quite so, terse to come in and just be like ignore them, because you're setting it up to be a better, more calm, less stressful experience for them.
Yeah. And you do the same when you want to go out. If you take a leash and you see the dogs going into this drama mood, release the leash. Let put the leash down and wait for them to calm down. When you take a leash, and then how you can practice. Maybe the dog need to go to pee, and now you don't have time to practice, and you just need to take a dog out. Otherwise, he's gonna do it at the home. And what you need to do is kind of like think about when you are giving your dog the food. Because usually we're going to give them the food and we're going to take them out, because actually that's when the initiation of the bowel movement would be. When they eat, they want to get immediately, they're going to go to toilet, either to pee or to pee and poo. So what you want to do, if your dog has a problem with the leash, what you want to do is play with the leash during the entire day. Take out the leash, put it in the morning when you wake up, you take the dog out, you come back. Your dog is hectic and reactive and all kinds of those things. Okay, now we are... And then you come home, and then entire day you have a leash and move the leash around the house, left, right, put it there, and kind of like change the place for the leash without intention of taking dog out. And then you take a leash in your hands, the dog gonna see, oh my God, we go out. No, put the leash down, carry on with your things. Dog, are we going out?
This is good, Sasha. This is really good, because you're teaching us how to be the leader we need to be. Like I think this is like really, really important, the examples. Because these are the things we run into and we don't really know how to establish the leadership. And this is super helpful, because like to me, I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. And now I know what to do to be that leader. So I think this is great. I think we should talk some more about these rituals, and we can do that next week with Alex.
Yeah, we can go through the rituals next week with Alex. I just wanted here to set a tone on a very important conclusion that every one of us should have on its own. Are the dog conscious? Yeah. Can the dog experience emotions? Are the dog aware of the world around them? And can they internalize that world? If the answer on that questions are yes, then you don't have other option and you then don't have any other excuse not to start learning how to communicate with them canine language, and stop all of this nonsense of obedience and training and me, my world, and my way or highway. Because if you agree and consent to a consciousness and emotional intelligence to a dog, then that world is big no anymore.
It's big no. Yeah. And that makes sense too, because we know when you talk about leadership, I think sometimes people think leader can be dominant, means dominance. And it doesn't mean that. Like a good leader is one that is respectful and kind and takes into consideration the people that he or she is leading. So I think that's like the clarification too, like what is a leader? And then, unpacking that for how we do that.
That was a wonderful. We had this coronation of the King Charles III now.
Yeah.
And all of those rituals in putting the leader on the top of the hierarchy in the monarchy system is so easy to understand, right? Because you have, and then he said at one point, I'm not here to serve. I'm not here to be served. I came to serve. He said, I don't know, did you get those rituals? I was just watching it just from the perspective of to try to find the good human way of understanding the hierarchy and the leadership and the pack thing. And then there is a very important thing. The leader is responsible to carry his duty. And his duty is to protect. And then he gets a sword. He gets that sword. This is for you to protect your people when needed.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. I think it's talking about what a true leader really is versus somebody like, Hitler that's more authoritarian and is dominant and takes over by force.
Bully.
It's very different.
And when you want to enforce anything to anyone, then you are not leader, you are bully.
Right.
You shouldn't be called leader. You are bully, you are abuser. Whatever you want to, whatever prefix and has a responsibility, the leader that leads, provides, and protects is one that's responsible. And leader that leads, provides, and protects, he's in the middle, in between the outer world and the family. Outer world and the family. So everything that is outside of the door, I need to try to find a way to provide from there and to protect from there and to lead my little pack in there. So those three things, if I claim I'm going to do for my dogs, the only thing they can do is follow because they have hope.
Yeah.
And that's so nice and so easy and so applicable to everything. I mentioned the coronation and the monarchy because in all of those ancient tradition, metaphors can be found. Yeah. Not that I'm the King Charles, that's great, monarchy, this, blah, blah, blah. No, it's completely out from the political spectrum.
No, I knew what you meant.
Just a metaphor of how the human group is organized as well. And if in some countries you don't have a king, you have a president. In other countries, some presidents are leaders, the other ones are dictators. So, and all of them are leaders of the country.
But they're in a leadership. They're in a leadership position.
Yeah.
But
all
then
of them have, and they can choose either to inspire the nation or to bully the nation. They don't have other option.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like if we just need to make this for yourself at home, everyone. Like, am I consent?
What kind of leader do you want to be to your dog and your family?
Yes.
That's really what it is. Like being conscious about what kind of leader do you want to be, and then make sure you inform yourself so you know how to be that kind of leader.
How to become. Yeah. And start trying to ask a question yourself. Would you consent to that the dogs are conscious beings? Are the dogs able to experience emotions? And what do you think, are the dogs able to understand the world around them and as well to internalize it?
Yeah.
And if answer is yes, you don't have other path to go, then pure love and harmony.
Yeah. Wonderful. I love it. So good. So
Wonderful. Good. That was a very nice night, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like I learned a lot of practical application, and I hope everybody watching that you did too. Because I think these are like really nice when we can use these examples that a lot of us run into and just are at a loss with good intention, but at a loss as to how to do it differently. So I think this is really helpful. And next week, when we have Alex and Happy on, I think that's going to be really great because she can share examples and then you can help.
And I think following the lead of Alex, I would invite every one of you to write us messages and ask to be a guest on our show. We are more than welcome to host any one of you that might want to look deeper in a relationship with your dog and be brave enough to step in front of the camera. So Alex, thank you so much for your bravery, and I look forward to for the next
week
episode. Yes.
Yeah.
And then in a time, I invite all of others that want to follow the lead of Alex to contact us either through the email or through the message or just in a comment, and our team gonna contact you to set the show.
Yeah, because I think
that's a nice way to go, right?
Yeah, because I think these examples are going to really help solidify and embody what we can do. So we'll start with Alex, and then any questions from anybody, I think.
Yeah, because I think that would be always important and understandable for you, everyone of watching and listening to this show. you are not alone.
Right.
You're going to see that a lot of people are struggling, having the same things. And the answer is so simple. We just need
Yeah.
to take a leadership position. And there is so simple way to claim that back, because we don't need to explain nothing. We just need to
Yeah.
do.
I love it that it really is so simple. I really do. I mean, I think we always try to overcomplicate things, and the fact that it is more simple than we thought is a relief. And
It
now
is.
let's just like learn it and apply it and watch everybody be happier
There
and
you go.
healthier and healthier.
Healthier. There you